Here we go. Another episode of Change of Pace Sports with alternative views. I'm your host Kay. We're continuing along with our New York Knicks special, how to fix the New York Knicks. This is a special edition of the 2020 Knicks Off-Season 101. This is part 3 of the Off-Season 101 series. Part 1 or part A was keep or move on, which had to deal with the Knicks' current roster. That will be in the link in the description. That was a good video. We had part 2 or part B, which was pursue or leave alone, which had to deal with the free agents that the Knicks might go after or might leave alone. And today we're going to go over part 3 or part C, which is to draft or not to draft, which will deal with the actual NBA draft coming up next month in June. So the Knicks this year in the draft, the 2020 NBA draft, have 3 draft picks. They have 2 in the first round and they have 1 in the second round. Now, the 2 in the first or the earliest pick they will get will be a top 10 pick within the lottery, even a top 6 pick most likely. Because of their record, they have the 6th worst record in the NBA currently. So if the league does reopen and they play some games, the Knicks might get a worse record. But if the league just goes straight to playoffs, the Knicks will maintain the 6th worst record and they'll go into the lottery as that. And their percentages for getting higher will be, they have a 9% chance of getting the number 1 pick. They will have a 37% chance of getting the top 4 pick. But in reality, they will still have a 58% chance of picking either 6, 7, or 8 in the NBA draft coming up in 2020. But also in the first round, the Knicks' second pick will be from the LA Clippers. That is currently the 27th pick because the Clippers have, I believe, the 3rd best record in the NBA. That's why currently it's 27. So if the Clippers are to go to the finals and so forth, the pick will get worse. If they was to resume the NBA season and the Clippers was to lose a little bit of ground, the pick would get a little bit better. And the 3rd pick that the Knicks have in this NBA draft is in the second round. It will be about the 36th overall pick. That's what it is currently. That comes from Charlotte, the Charlotte Hornets. That was in a trade that the Knicks made before. So, but either way, that would be a top 8 pick in the second round from the Charlotte Hornets. All right. So now let's go into who the Knicks might be possibly choosing with these picks. So I made 3 players that the Knicks should be looking at with the first pick that they have in the first round, which would be the top 6 pick. So it's 3 players in particular I think the Knicks should look at. I'm going to go 3, 2 to 1 as the best possible pick. So the third one will be a good pick. The second one will be a great pick. And the number 1 pick will be a home run pick for the Knicks to get in this upcoming 2020 draft. So let's get right into it. So number 3, we're going to have Onyeka Okongwu. He's a power forward out of College of USC. That's the University of Southern California. He is 6'9", weighs 240 pounds. He's a strong scorer around the basket, great low post player. He's a gifted athlete with a strong motor. He's an excellent rebounder and a great shot blocker. He's an extremely athletic, energetic big man that has a great low post scorer with great strength and footwork. A very good rebounder who projects as an elite rim protector in the NBA. My pro comparison for Onyeka is Bam Adebayo. He plays with the Miami Heat. He had one of the better seasons this year. He's looking like one of the bright young big men in the NBA with the Miami Heat right now. He's who I have the best pro comparison right now for him. So if the Knicks were able to get him in the draft, that would be a good pick. Good pick. Now let's move on to number 2. This will be a great pick. And this would be from James Wiseman. He's a power forward center. He played with Memphis last season. Now, he was rated coming out of high school as the number 1 prospect. He actually went to play for former superstar NBA player Penny Hardaway in his first year as the head coach of Memphis. He got into a little trouble. Didn't get to play this season, but is still projected as one of the top 3 players in this entire draft. Extremely special. He's a 7'1" with a 7'4" wingspan, weighs 250. He's a tremendous rebounder, a rare athlete, a great low post scorer, a solid defender, but an excellent shot blocker. Now, the pro comparison that I have for James Wiseman is actually no other than former Knicks MVP Willis Reed, the great captain Willis Reed. Now, Wiseman actually has a great mid-range jumper. He's a tremendous rebounder, and he's a very strong shot blocker. And he's a left-handed player, very reminiscent of the former Knicks great Willis Reed. But another popular pro comparison, a little more modern for people to get an understanding of the kind of player he could be, would be former Miami Heat and Toronto Raptors great Chris Bosh. He's very similar to Chris Bosh, and he's a very good shot blocker, but he also can shoot the ball very well. He's a very good low post scorer, very similar to how Chris Bosh can score the ball inside, and he can come out with a jump shot and also can play a little bit of defense. Now, that would be a great pick if the Knicks are able to get James Wiseman to add on to players like R.J. Barrett, Frank Ntilikina, and it would have an amazing Twin Towers kind of setup with him and Mitchell Robinson for the next 10 years in New York. You could put Wiseman at the power forward, Mitchell Robinson at the center. It would be like Tim Duncan and David Robinson both at their prime, or better yet, Hakeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson in the 80s, the original Twin Towers. But now, a home run pick. This has been rumored for a while too for the Knicks. This pick would be amazing. It would be the perfect pick for the current Knicks right now, and that would be no other than Lonzo Ball's little brother, LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is a point guard. He's 6'7", 180 pounds. This last year he played in Australia with the NBL Australian Hawks. Now, a little bit about LaMelo Ball. He's an advanced ball handler, rare playmaker. He has unlimited range on his jump shot. He has rare size and profile for the position, and he has huge confidence. Huge confidence. So, the reason I say LaMelo Ball is the perfect pick for the Knicks is LaMelo Ball perfectly fits everything that the Knicks have, and he has the cachet, the confidence, and the pedigree to actually succeed in the monster that we call New York in the Madison Square Garden. He's one of the rare players like R.J. Barrett last season that's actually built to deal with the rigors and the stress and the scrutiny of playing in the biggest market in the NBA. A lot of people have failed. A lot of people are just not necessarily with the BS that kind of comes with playing with the Knicks and being the focal players of playing with the Knicks. We've seen this happen with Carmelo Anthony, Stephon Marbury, Patrick Ewing, where that light is extremely bright, and it can really hurt the players day to day and how he actually goes about trying to reach his potential. We've seen a lot of players not reach their potential under the bright spotlight of New York City and Madison Square Garden. But LaMelo Ball has proved that he can deal with the biggest spotlight. He was the player that decided not to deal with college. He was the player that decided he's not going to deal with the NBA D-League. He went overseas. He already had 1 million followers before he was even 16 years old. He's already a millionaire before he's even entering the NBA. And his older brother actually was the second pick in the draft just a few years ago in 2017. And Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball's already one of the best perimeter defenders, one of the best passers already in the NBA. And LaMelo Ball is arguably the best brother in the LaVar Ball family. He's arguably the best, the most talented. And I guess you're asking, well, who is the pro comparison that you have for LaMelo Ball? Now, this is a rare comparison because this is a rare player. He has a rare amount of talent. My pro comparison for LaMelo Ball is Pistol Pete Maravich. Pistol Pete Maravich is considered the globetrotter himself. He's considered one of the greatest showmanships that the NBA has ever seen. He also put up crazy numbers in college, averaged over 40 points a game in college. LaMelo Ball has the exact same game as Pistol Pete. He has advanced ball handling. He's an amazing playmaker, and he also can shoot the ball from anywhere on the court. But he's 6'7", playing point guard. That's what gives him the level that Pistol Pete. Pistol Pete was 6'6", could play shooting guard, can also play point guard. LaMelo Ball's in that same mold, lanky playmaker. Some have actually compared LaMelo Ball to Jason Williams, who is AKA White Chocolate, who is known for actually being very flashy with the basketball. The difference between Jason Williams and LaMelo Ball: Jason Williams was about 6'1", 6'2". LaMelo Ball is 6'7". That's a 5-inch difference. Yeah, they play similar games, but what LaMelo will be able to do on the court versus Jason Williams is just different just by his size alone and the fact that he comes from a family of now professional basketball players. He's the youngest of now 2 other professional basketball players, as in his older brother Lonzo and his middle brother LiAngelo Ball. But that's why I would say for the Knicks in the draft, This would be an absolute home run if they're able to draft LaMelo Ball with whatever choice they're able to get in the NBA draft this year. But let's move on to the next second pick in the first round and who they might be choosing in the early second round. I'm going to give you 5 candidates for those 2 picks. So we're going to go 5 through 1 with good, again, to great, to amazing, to phenomenal, to home run. So let's start out with number 5, and this would be good. We're going to go with Isaiah Joe. He's a shooting guard. He played last season at the College of Arkansas University. He's a 6'5" shooting guard. He weighs around 170 pounds. Last year, he averaged 16.8 points, 4.1 rebounds, 1.4 steals. Now, Isaiah Joe, a little bit about him, is one of the very best three-point shooters in the entire NCAA. He has a quick, pure release and has the shooter's mentality. He's a great shooter. I feel like the reason that he fits with the Knicks and would be a great choice for the Knicks. The Knicks are going to be building around Mitchell Robinson and R.J. Barrett for sure. R.J. Barrett is a slasher. He likes to get to the rim. He likes to get to the basket. And Mitchell Robinson is really at this point just a live catcher and a pick and roll receiver. So a player that would fit or be the best person to fit around those 2 players is somebody that can spread the floor, somebody can shoot the ball very well. And Isaiah Joe is actually one of the very best coming out of college this year. So the pro comparison that I give for Isaiah Joe is no other than Swaggy P, former Washington Wizards shooting guard Nick Young, and also former San Antonio Spurs great shooting guard still in the NBA right now, Marco Bellinelli. Both of them are also great shooters that also can get hot, can also do a little bit of things, similar size, similar games, similar projections. All right, let's move on to number 4. That would be a good pick if the Knicks are able to snatch Isaiah Joe with either the 27th pick in the first round or the 38th pick in the second round. So now number 4, we have Jaden McDaniels. He's a small forward. He played his last year at Washington University. He's a 6'9", wingspan 6'11", weighs about 185 pounds. Now McDaniels he's a wing player that has the length to be a big man. Very long, very reminiscent in body size of Jonathan Isaac, who's a young player out of the Bronx that plays for Orlando Magic right now. Very long, able to do a lot of things offensively though. He's not a defensive player like Jonathan Isaac. Now McDaniels is a very long and lanky wing player who brings a great deal of offensive versatility. So my pro comparison from Mr. McDaniels will be Jeremy Lamb. He's a shooting guard, played out of UConn, plays for the Indiana Pacers, and Justin Jackson. He's a small forward shooting guard, was drafted by the Sacramento Kings, currently plays for the Dallas Mavericks. All right, similar kind of game where he's a 3-level scorer, can get to the basket. Some actually kind of compare him to a Brandon Ingram, but he's not that level of a scorer, not that level of talent. But he has a similar game where he can score the ball, he can shoot the ball, has a very good pull-up game. He's a very good scoring player. So again, the reason why I think he would be a great fit for the Knicks right now, he fits very well aligned with R.J. Barrett and Mitchell Robinson or even Frank Ntilikina. Whereas he's a wing player, but he also can play the 4, he can play the 3, he can play the 2, and offensively he can shoot the ball, he can spread the court, and he can play on the opposite side, or he can pair up with any of these players that the Knicks have on the roster. So he would be a great pickup. Now let's go into very good. Number 3, we actually have NBA star or young prospect Thon Maker's little cousin, Makur Maker. Now Makur Maker is a power forward or a center. He's 7 foot tall, weighs about 230. He's also from Australia, but has African background. He's again related to Thon Maker, who most recently seen play with Detroit. He was a lottery pick a few years ago with the Milwaukee Bucks. Now Maker is the younger cousin of Thon Maker. He's a very athletic and skilled big man that has a great amount of offensive tools and is an elite rebounder. He's a true point big with advanced ball skills. Now, he's been rumored to, Kevin Garnett has actually really liked his game. Kevin Garnett has actually said that Maker reminds him of him. And he thinks that Maker has the same future as Kevin Garnett, but I don't agree. I think they do have very similar physical physique. They have very same physical profiles. Kevin Garnett was about 6'11", 7'4" wingspan, was under 200 pounds when he first came on the scene around 17 years old. Makers are about the same. About 6'11", 7', 7'4" wingspan. He's around 200 pounds, 210 when he first came on the scene. And he's like Garnett, he's very versatile offensively. But the pro comparisons I have for Makers actually former Sacramento Kings and Orlando Magic small forward Hedo Turkoglu and former Boston Celtic great and Dallas Maverick great Antonio Walker. So he's a true big, but he also has point guard skills. He can dribble the ball well. He plays the game very similar like Kevin Durant in the way that he actually approaches the game. But he's not the same. He doesn't have the same shooter's mentality. He doesn't go after points the same way Kevin Durant does. But he has the same kind of look and feel when he's actually dribbling the ball of a Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's about 7 foot tall, about 215. Makers about the same size. Shoots the ball the same kind of way, but he's not the same kind of scorer. Doesn't have the same kind of shooter's mentality. But he's more of a playmaker, a lot like a Hedo Turkoglu and Antoine Walker. So that would be a great actual pickup for the Knicks with one of the two picks in with the late first round or the second round. Number 2, we have a Gonzaga big man, power forward, Keelan Tilly. Now, Keelan Tilly actually comes from international ranks. He's a French ball player, played with the French national team, actually played with Frank Ntilikina with the under-18 French national team. Now, Keelan Tilly is actually a prototypical NBA stretch four. He can score in a variety of ways. He has a smooth and deadly long-range jump shot. Now, Tilly, again, has a high basketball IQ. He played internationally, is a true stretch four, very good offensively. Now, the pro comparisons I have for him, former Phoenix Suns great, also played with the Spurs, Boris Diaw. And I compare him to former Detroit Pistons and Utah Jazz great, big Mehmet Okur. He's a combination of both ways, a great shooter, but he also can post up. He also has a very well-rounded offensive game in which he can do a lot of different things. He has a high basketball IQ. And like I said, for the Knicks, the reason why he makes sense is like he fits very well with R.J. Barrett with the international ties. He fits very well with Mitchell Robinson, meaning he can stretch the floor and he also can defend and play a very sound game on the opposite side of Mitchell Robinson, right? And he also again has ties with Frank Ntilikina, who's a current Knicks point guard. And now number 1, which I consider a home run, if the Knicks are able to get this player within the late first round pick or the early second round pick. And that's none other than Jalen Smith. He's a power forward with the University of Maryland. Now, I've seen in a few blogs, I've seen a few articles write this up where Jalen Smith would be rumored to go to the Knicks. That makes a lot of sense. Jalen Smith is 6'10" with over 7 foot wingspan. He's 215. Now, Smith is a very unique player. He brings a very unique skill set to the game. And I think he's a perfect player for what the Knicks have to fit what the Knicks have going on. And I think he'll be a home run, absolute home run if the Knicks are able to actually draft him in the 2020 NBA draft. Now, let me give you a quick breakdown of what Smith's game is. Now, Smith is a great athlete, but he's a skilled big man that projects to be a defensive special in the NBA that can spread the floor. Now, Jalen Smith has a great jump shot, but he plays amazing defense, can block shots. So, to give you a better understanding without going too far into who Jalen Smith is, his exact pro comparison, I don't even have to bring two players in, his exact pro comparison in NBA right now is Serge Ibaka. Now, Serge Ibaka, we also brought up in part 2 when we talked about free agents that Knicks could pursue or leave alone. And I said the Knicks can actually look at a player like Serge Ibaka being a player that they could pair in the front court with Mitchell Robinson very well as a shot blocker that also can spread the floor, shoot the three, and just spread the floor, shoot perimeter jump shots. You know what I mean? Make Mitchell Robinson able to sit in the paint and be able to spread the floor so Mitchell Robinson could be a rim runner on pick and rolls. Now, Jalen Smith brings all that to the table. He's almost a younger version of Serge Ibaka. He's rumored to be around the late first round. So again, if the Knicks are able to get him, he will be a great pickup. And that's my 5. Quickly run through that 5 again. Number 5 is Isaiah Joe, shooting guard out of Arkansas University. My pro comparison for him is Nick Young, Marco Bellinelli. Number 4, we got Jaden McDaniels. That's a small forward out of Washington University. My pro comparison for him is Jeremy Lamb and Justin Jackson. Number 3, we got Maker, power forward out of Australia. My pro comparison for him is Hedo Turkoglu, Antoine Walker. Number 2, we got Keelan Tilly. He's a power forward out of Gonzaga. My pro comparison for him is Boris Diaw and Mehmet Okur. And number 1, we got Jalen Smith, power forward out of Maryland. My pro comparison for him is Serge Ibaka. Okay, now we're going to end this episode off on who's been most rumored for the Knicks to actually draft in the NBA draft. And this would be my more or less not to draft segment of this episode. So all those players that I gave before, the players that I believe the Knicks should definitely look into drafting, these are players I would more shy away from and say a little bit more not to draft. But let's go into them and say that if the Knicks were to draft them, these are still great prospects. These are great young players. And I will explain to you how they might fit if the Knicks are to draft these 4 players. There's only four players right now that have huge rumors to the Knicks. The 5th player would actually be LaMelo Ball, who I actually agree with. And I feel the Knicks should definitely try to go after drafting. Here are the other 4 of that 5 now. Number 4, we have Deni Avdija. He's a small forward, plays out of Israel internationally. Now, Avdija he's a great prospect. He's offensively talented. We've heard a lot of comparisons of Luka Doncic and his actual advanced playmaking ability. But I think that's a little bit too much. It looks like he will be a top 5, top 10 pick. He is the best international player in this year's draft. But my pro comparison for Deni is actually Boston Celtics and former Utah Jazz great Gordon Hayward and former Chicago Bulls and international great Andres Nocioni. Now, Deni's actually a lot like Gordon Hayward in the fact that he's 6'8". He's a very good offensive player. He's a 3-level scorer. He has high basketball IQ. He's not the greatest athlete, but he can score at 3 levels and he's very crafty. He also is a very good playmaker. He can pass the ball very well, and he's a very tough defender. Not a great defender, but a tough defender. So his pro comparison leans a lot to Gordon Hayward if he's actually become what player people think that he will be. Now, the reason I feel like for the Knicks, that's not a great choice. The Knicks already have Kevin Knox. Kevin Knox is a similar kind of player to Deni, but Kevin Knox is more of an offensive small forward, and we've seen he's had a struggle to actually pair up with what the Knicks already have there. To bring in Deni would be almost like bringing in another Kevin Knox, or Deni's very similar to another player the Knicks drafted last year, and Ignas Brazdeikis, who was out of Michigan that played on the national team in Canada with RJ Barrett, who actually played very well in the G League this year for the Knicks, in which he averaged over 16 points. Now, Deni's a very similar player to him also, which would be, again, like a Knicks drafting a very similar player to what they already have. So I don't think that the Knicks should particularly pursue Deni, but if they are to end up drafting him, F President Leon Rose and GM Scott Perry really like him, this is what the Knicks can expect. It's a player similar to Gordon Hayward at the Knicks are to draft. Number 3, we've actually heard as of yesterday, he actually had an interview in which he said he would love to have the chance to play for the Knicks. He would love the challenge of playing for the Knicks. But number 3 on my list is Tyrese Halliburton. He's a very big point guard out of Iowa State. Now, Halliburton, he's 6'5", closer, I think it's 6'9", so close to a 7-foot wingspan. He's 170 pounds. Now, he's a big guard. A lot of people compare him to DeJounte Murray with the San Antonio Spurs. I disagree. Murray was actually a lot more of a lethal scorer, a lot more of a offensively minded player coming out of college. My pro comparisons for Tyrese is actually former Cleveland Cavaliers great and Denver Nuggets point guard Andre Miller, and former Golden State legend off the bench but former lottery pick for the LA Clippers, Sean Livingston. Now, he leans a lot to Sean Livingston when Sean Livingston was coming out of high school, but his game plays a lot like Andre Miller, where he kind of takes his time, he goes at his own pace, he has a very good standstill jumper, but it doesn't look great, and he's a very cerebral player, high IQ, very good passer, very good basketball player. A lot of people also compare him to the point guard that plays for the Orlando Magic, Michael Williams. He's very similar to that, and the reason why I would say, again, the Knicks should shy away from him, Frank Ntilikina has a lot of the same skills and a lot of the same pros to his game as what Tyrese brings to the game. It would be almost like the same kind of player, and we've seen Frank struggle to actually find his way, and we've even seen Michael Carter is his name. Michael Carter struggled to actually find his way in the NBA as a big guard, even though Michael Carter won Rookie of the Year with the Philadelphia 76ers. He's still been able to struggle to find a home. I think he's been with about 5 different teams since that rookie season. So Tyrese is somebody I would shy away from just because Frank is already there, and we've seen players like him struggle. Like even Alfred Payton is a similar player who's a point guard currently right now with the Knicks. But I do like his talent. I think that he could fit. If they give him the opportunity and they gave him the keys, I think him and RJ Barrett would be a hell of a backcourt. But if the Knicks were to choose him, but I feel like there's better options for the Knicks in this draft than Tyrese. Number 2, we have RJ Hampton. Point guard, shooting guard. He played in Australia with the New Zealand team this last year. He's a 6'5", 175-pound point guard, shooting guard. I see a lot of websites that compare him to Denver Nuggets current shooting guard or current point guard Jamal Murray, and I can see the comparison. He's a very offensive-minded guy. He gets to the paint. He scores a lot of points. He's offensively gifted. He's a great athlete. A big guard. Can definitely play point guard. Can definitely play with the ball in his hands. He's more served to be a point guard than a 2-guard, but he's not a great shooter the way Jamal Murray is. So my pro comparison to RJ Hampton was actually, I think he's a lot like former Los Angeles Lakers great, former New Jersey Nets head coach, Byron Scott. He's a lot like Byron Scott. When he first came out, Byron Scott was a top 5 pick in his draft way back when, and he was a very aggressive scorer, but also could play point guard, can play off the ball or could play on the ball. He was a very aggressive player, very great athlete, can score in different ways at the basket. RJ Hampton is a lot like that. A current player that I would compare to Hampton would be Jeff Teague. Very similar to Jeff Teague, very shifty, gets to the paint, can score the ball, not a great shooter, but can shoot the ball and can actually put the ball in the basket. Very aggressively offensive-minded kind of point guard, kind of player. And again, that's part of the reason why I feel like RJ doesn't fit right now with the current Knicks. He's similar to a player the Knicks currently have right now that has struggled, and Dennis Smith Jr. Great athlete, gets to the paint, gets to the basket, scores well in different ways at the basket, plays above the rim like a Dennis Smith. But we've seen how Dennis Smith has struggled in New York with the Knicks. Because again, now Hampton would have to play with RJ Barrett. You would have to play off of RJ Barrett. And we've seen players of this sort that are more off the ball or more playmakers and more offensive-minded, more aggressive offensive players are not going to fit well with each other. RJ Barrett is clearly the alpha male offensive speaking when it comes to the NBA. RJ Hampton will not be able to take that off of RJ. So it'll lessen what RJ could do in the league. And I mean RJ Hampton and not Barrett. Okay? So that's why I would shy away from RJ Hampton. Now the number 1 player that's been rumored to the Knicks has actually been point guard from the University of North Carolina, Cole Anthony. The first reason why Cole Anthony has been rumored a lot to the Knicks is because his father was a former draft pick of the Knicks years before in the 90s, was a starting point guard with the Knicks, and Greg Anthony. Yes, Cole Anthony is Greg Anthony's son. For all of Knicks fans that remember Greg Anthony, remember how many years he played for the Knicks as starting point guard, as a very aggressive and New York-minded point guard. Well, Cole Anthony is his son. Cole Anthony is actually a top 10, top 5 kind of player in this year's draft. He's one of the top players in high school. He's one of the best players right now coming out of the draft. Now, Anthony's 6'2". He has a 6'3" wingspan, 185 pounds. He's very offensively gifted. Can score from 3 levels. He's a playmaker. He's a point guard. He's also a clutch player. He has a leader's mentality. But the player that I kind of compare him to, and for some of us younger fans might not know who this player is, former Boston Celtics great Dennis Johnson, a.k.a. DJ. He was a point guard on those Larry Johnson championship teams in the 80s. This is who Cole Anthony plays a lot like. Where he's a point guard, but he has more of a shooting guard's mentality. He can score the ball very well. And Cole Anthony's a great shot blocker. And that is a lot like Dennis Johnson, who's actually one of the best shot blocking guards of all time. Cole Anthony's a very good defensive player. Weak side defensive play, he understands, has high basketball IQ. He projects a lot like Dennis Johnson. But a more modern player that I can compare Cole Anthony to would be former Cleveland Cavs great Terrell Brandon. Terrell Brandon was another player that was a great defensive player, can steal the ball well, but also offensively can do a lot of different things. As a point guard, was more of a scorer's mentality, but can also make some passes, can make some plays. Cole Anthony the same way. He's offensive minded, but he's more can get his shot off, can make the big shots. He's a good athlete, a good mid-range player, but not a true point guard in that sense, and not a true playmaker. And again, I feel like he would clash a little bit with what the Knicks already have. He's very similar to Elfrid Payton, who we've already seen last year with the Knicks, except he's a much better shooter than Elfrid Payton. But a similar player in that mold. Very similar in what he can do. Not as great as a passer as Elfrid Payton, but a much better shooter than Elfrid Payton. And that's where they kind of balance off of the same kind of impact they would bring to the game. So those are the 4 players that are rumored to the Knicks most. And that's why I would kind of shy away from them or put them in the not to draft category. And I gave the 8 players that I believe the Knicks should draft. Again, if you have any comments, if you agree with some of my predictions, if you have any questions, any arguments, or want to add to the conversation, leave that in the comment section. If you appreciate this comment, go ahead and subscribe. A lot more will be coming. And, hit a like if you appreciate this video. I'm out.